I'm managing eh. Oh, monye me so eh. Ana mboafu. Mwabre.
Debbie,
Which is
hey, look, we are
yeah.
fine.
Oh, yeah, is that I feel like sleeping, so Charlie. So
Doc,
we should
how's
have
your
ourselves
weekend?
right, so
Yeah,
that
please.
all of us will not fall asleep. Okay, at least we should find a way of exhausting this 4 hours. I don't think we have to use the 4 hours. Yeah. I want to touch on the most important stuff, of course. And I said it last week that when it comes to the distance learning models, is the approach is quite different. So I don't usually go by the way I use when it comes to the regular student. I don't do it that way. The regular student, you have a lot of time to, ask questions, that kind of stuff, and also go through almost everything that you see on the slide. But for distance learning, I have to do everything within 4 weeks or so. So I'm trying as much as possible to bundle the 6 or the 7 units together. Then, so if you see me moving very fast and saying this one is not important, this one is not, but this one is good, and this one is also good, and those you have to understand me. I'm trying as much as possible to run, with time so that we can all go and have a very good exams. So that is something that I will do. So today my objective is to finish with 3 units, which is possible. But if I'm not able to do it, maybe 2 units should be okay. But I'm definitely going to finish with the unit one, which is basically the economic foundations of the local energy access. And last week we did an introductory class which we basically try as much as possible for you to get a sense of what we mean by energy access. And one thing that I really established at that particular, introductory class was that energy access is not just an option. It is a necessity. It is energy so pervasive in our life to the extent that without it, we can hardly go on. And also without it, it actually affects us. So I remember I made you do some survey, a live one, of course, where I told you to, type or possibly, say something about and how do I even put it? Something that you went through, a frustration or any challenge that you went through, either you or your family or whatever you went through when you never had access to energy. Okay, so I remember I made you do that, and we were able to establish the fact. Some people say they couldn't sleep. Others too said they lost their jobs. They couldn't get an interview and combining or coalescing that one with also previous discussion that I've had with some of the master students, you can also that some people also even lost their lives when they didn't have access to energy. And that one is just one area, just even electricity. Because when you say energy, energy is not just about electricity. But for simplicity's sake, we are focusing on what? Electricity, so that we don't confuse ourselves. But even in that sense, it was an eye opener for us. It was so real and practical again for us. And I wanted to even extend it for you to start thinking about those of you who drive to, not those of you who even drive, but I'm very sure that everybody one way or the other is being affected by transportation when we don't have fuel, when we don't have see how things work. So the point I'm trying to establish with all this long talk is the fact that we've already provided enough evidence and even practical one, of course, for you to understand that indeed energy access is not just an option. It is what? A necessity, something which we need. And being without it actually throws our life into some kind of chaos or some kind of challenge. Okay. Now we are trying as much as possible to understand this course from 7 kind of units. So the first unit you are going to look at what the economic foundations of the local energy access. Of course, we need an alternative, but we can't just dive into it. we need to build a point so that we were able to what understand it at the end of, the course. So the first unit, of course, is the local foundations and the economic foundations of the local energy assets. We are trying to look at our locality. We are looking at Ghana here. So most of the discussion is going to focus on Ghana. And the slide, of course, is also focusing on Ghana. It's just some few aspects that I'll bring in or we brought in African, market or African community. So just have it that way. So with this particular first unit, we are going to look at the economic forces that shape the energy access. Okay. And when you say economic forces, definitely we are talking about demand, we are talking about supply. And not just that, because demand and supply definitely you tend to have the pricing in it. How is even pricing done in Ghana here when it comes to electricity and even energy, other energy stuff? We also look at the financing aspect of it, look at availability of energy and the local context that we have here. So it's very important that and this one is just to set the pace. So just begin to stand up. Now, moving forward. So energy demand, supply, and pricing. What is energy demand? What is supply here? And here we are not going to go into details for each other. What is energy demand? Then definition and looking at the economic definition of, energy and also demand, where we are going to when the price is low. And no, we are not going to do that. But when you're saying energy demand in simple, in quintessential sense, we are looking at or referring to what the total amount of energy we consume by individuals. Yes, when you study energy economics to the highest level, you will know that demand and consumption, there's a little bit of there's a subtle difference. Let me put it that way. But here we just use this interchangeably so that we don't confuse anybody here. So energy demand, we are looking at the total amount of energy consumed by individuals, not just by individuals, but we also look about the businesses and also what industries in a given area of a specific period of time. So there must be an area that we are looking at, and there must be a time that we're looking at. So for Ghana here, we normally pay ourselves. The salary comes 1 month. So you go to ECG, you buy. They normally look at your demand or your consumption within that month. And I think they even use that one to price, but that is not important for us to today. It's something that as time goes on, maybe we can talk about it. But the last time I was looking into I was reviewing some documents and I realized that, yeah, if you buy within a particular month, they have a date. If you are not able to exhaust all, then you go and, if you exhaust all, then when you go and buy, you don't get the exact amount. In a way, they think that you are using the energy, more than you are supposed to. So I was even complaining that it's not fair and all those kind of things. But the point is that when you talk about energy demand, we are looking at within a specific period of time in a given area, how much is being consumed by an individual, a business, or even an industry. That is for demand. And supply, we are talking about what? The availability of energy provided by a power plant or other energy sources. So not just a power plant, but they can be any other energy sources. The availability. So if it's not available, then we see that there's no supply of energy. So look at the demand as what? Look at the supply as whether the energy is available, electricity is available for consumption, and look at the demand as what? A consumption aspect of it. So that is basically it. And definitely, I'm not going to ask you define energy demand, define energy supply, but I just want you to understand that there are two sides of the coin. We have the demand side, we have the supply side. The supply is the availability of it, and the demand is what the consumption of it. Okay. Now, as far as we talk about demand and supply, then the pricing also comes in. So the pricing refers to the cost consumers pay for the energy they use, typically measured in kilowatt hour So this one is a little bit technical. So you normally, if you want to know when you go and buy whatever from ECG, you buy power from ECG. For us they print something, so I'm able to check how much I'm consuming. You know, so uh, per kilowatt hour, how much are they charging me? Most of us we don't look at it, so it becomes some way for us, but energy is being priced. And even when you go beyond the electricity sector, you want to look at the oil marketing companies, the fuel, especially the ones in combustion, the petrol and also the diesel. There's a different kind of pricing too. That one is determined by the government. Okay. So the pricing also, well, we can't talk about the economics of energy access without talking about what the pricing to. As far as you talk about demand, you have to talk about pricing. We've talked about supply, we talk about pricing too. So that is something that we need to also understand. So the pricing refers to the cost consumers pay for the energy they use, and it's normally measured in kilowatts per hour. Then we have the price elasticity of demand. And it looks so technical, so big of an English. But I want you to understand that when you say price elasticity of the demand, it's very, very important. And that is something that is being used. It also goes into the pricing in Ghana here. Okay. So with the price elasticity of demand, we are looking at the measure of how much the quantity of energy demanded changes in response to what the change in price. So in Ghana here, people, so if ECG or public this company, this organization. Sorry, it's not coming, but let me just move on. When they increase the price, they tend to
PURC.
look.
Is it PURC?
PURC.
Is
Yes,
it?
yes, yes. Thank you. PURC. PURC. Yeah. So they are, we will talk about them as time goes on. Just briefly. So PRC, when they increase the price, most of you hear, Ghanaians, near Kasabibre, or what to pay more than we turn to politics. But deep behind it, there's some kind of price elasticity of demand that is working there. And it's very, very important. So you realize that the higher elasticity means that consumers are very sensitive to price changes, while low elasticity indicates that demand remains relatively stable regardless of the price fluctuations. If you care to know, especially something that I've realized in the urban and peri-urban areas, Accra, Kumasi, Sunyani, and everything, Ghanaians will talk and talk. Yes, to they will buy. So elasticity is very low. The price will increase, but in the villages and in the rural areas, the elasticity is very, very, very high. So sometimes they are very mindful. And I can tell you on authority, the pricing in the urban and peri-urban areas are quite different from the pricing in the rural areas. It's not the same. Okay. So it's you need to get that thing. Elasticity working in that sense. Of course, you're not going, what do you want? Please, I'm coming on. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you realize that it works. Last time wasn't when then they said they are going to increase. The announcement came. The discussion moved from the increase in price straight to politics. They talk. Yes, so people were buying. Yeah. So you need to understand that the price elasticity also works so much. That is an aspect of it. Okay. And this course does not require you to go and calculate any price elasticity of this electricity and wood. No. We just want you to understand the economic foundations. That yes, when you talk about energy access, the economic issues that comes into play, demand issues come into play, supply issues come into play, pricing comes into play, price elasticity also comes into play. So just note that and when you hear the news, you gain it. And one thing that I normally do for the regular student, they normally maybe I can try this one maybe next week or from next 2 weeks going. we normally call something energy playbook. So the energy playbook, I normally tell them to listen to, for the whole week, they need to get one particular energy news for us to come and discuss. So probably we can start something in the third week or so before we finish this class, just to let you know that when the energy news are going around, you just have to apply, at least get understanding of whatever is going on. And I'm very sure that some of you have heard about this, the Strait of Hormuz, the Iran US war, Israel, that kind of where thing. And if you are somebody in the energy sector, you understand the the how do I put it? The the work that the government, or let me say the Ghanaian community is doing, and the strategic position of Ghana in that place. You understand why it was very, very important that some years ago we diversified our way of getting oil into this country. That if you play politics with it, you're not very careful to come back and bite you. When the Strait of Hormuz was closed, then the people expected that the prices were going to skyrocket and go high. And in Philippines, some people were even rationing petrol and diesel. In Singapore, it was very, very good. But Ghana here, we never experienced that thing. Why? There are several reasons, which maybe I'll tell for one. Because of where we normally source it, we have diversified the sourcing of oil from Ghana. So not just from that place, we also source from Russia. And at that time, they've already made concession to bring oil from that place. So we never, went into that kind of situation where we have to be suffering like the way Philippines and also Singapore and other countries were suffering. But that is just by the way. My point is that energy now is very pervasive. The economic issues that you can't actually take energy out of the economy is impossible. I don't see how. I don't know. I can't see it. The more I look at it, I can see, let the lights go off for 1 week now. All of you will start talking. And last week he said, the grade, we will talk about Unit 2, we will talk about the energy systems, but the grade went off. Said the fire burnt like 6 turbines or whatever, grid code. And you see the way people were talking and some insults people were pouring their frustrations all around. So the point is that energy is so key. It's very, very key. It's very, very key. And I don't see how the economic aspect can be separated. Energy is in the economy. And when you study energy economics to the highest level, you realize that there are models that people are even placing energy into the modeling. So the basic solo growth model will tell you that the economy is basically the capital and labor and technology, which is the A, so KLA. And they do some magic there and they do their calculation, and I don't want to go into it. But as time goes on, we started, as much as for those of us who did our PhD in energy economics and those things, we started looking at how, when we place or put energy into the model, how it's going to be, and we realize that we can't even separate it. It's not possible. It's not possible. So that's just by the way. That is just by the way. But the point is that energy demand, energy supply, energy pricing, the price elasticity are all economic issues underlining energy access or the local energy access we have. Now, having talked about these things, another aspect that we need to be, especially because we are going to look at the various options. Especially we will talk about the system. From the energy systems, you go to what? The energy demand side assessment. So through the energy demand assessment, we will definitely know the options and all those kind of things that we have. But since we are going to talk about those options, where in a situation where we are tied to the grid, but the grid is not that reliable, so we need to get an alternative. And you want to put out a project. What is the cost benefit? Definitely there'll be an economic issue in it. And I'm very sure some of you, most of you here in your homes, one way or the other, you've thought about, if not once, several times, thought about the fact that we want to get a solar because the light went off some way somehow. Then you were thinking about, hey, if I get a solar cry again. And some of you right now you don't have it simply because the money is not there. Meboa mkasa meboa. When the moon kasa cry, I'll start calling.
Okay, true, true.
David,
Okay,
David,
that,
you are here. You know,
dog,
it's last week I didn't get you.
oh, no,
David, you are
something
here.
happened though.
What's you?
I'm here.
I had David now talk. Meboa nasa kasa meboa nasa. What do
Oh,
you
dog,
think?
and a crack, and a crack.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's true. I mean, it's expensive. And going for
Yes.
solar is quite expensive. So a lot of people would rather opt to be on the grid than having to go for solar for now until they have the enough to buy solar and
To
install in
buy
their homes or
solar.
their
Yeah.
offices. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But as time goes on, I will let you know when we start talking about Unit 3, the multi-tier framework. I will teach you, or we will expose, or a highlight will be placed on the various tiers and where you can start placing yourself because now technology has come. You don't have to have this traditional solar on your roof. There are now portable power stations now. Now I have a power station, not a bigger one, so I call it a power bank, but it's also not a power bank because it's higher than a power bank. So it is 100, it's 100 and something watts or so. I charge my laptop. I used to charge bigger stuff, which is 240 watts above. So I have that one there and can sometimes take me 4 hours. Let me say 3 hours most when the light goes off. So my laptop, if my laptop will go off, then it means that it's somewhere. So we will get there. Then you know the kind of tiers that we have. Then if you even don't have the opportunity to get an option like the solar, the big one, the in your house, and then how about getting another tier or another one which is okay? Okay, so we will get there, but here is we are just talking about the unit one. But the point here is that most of you, one way or the other, has thought about getting a solar system either in your house or a way of getting outside being outside the grid. In other words, being off grid so that you can have access to energy. Okay. So it's something that, but immediately that option comes in, and immediately that alternative comes in, then we are looking at cost benefit analysis, and that is basically the 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 the, the economic side of it. You definitely look at the costs you are going to incur, but when you're looking at cost, you're also comparing it with the profits or the benefits you get it. And as economic students, of course, you need to understand this context that I normally say to people that behind everything we look at what the accounting cost, the financial outlays, but we don't know that when it comes to economics, the cost is actually higher. Okay, cost is actually beyond the accounting cost. You are looking at opportunity cost too. You are looking at cost of being without goods. You are looking at time. Time is even time can cost you. Wasting of time is cost. A lot of stuff new. So cost benefit analysis of energy access projects also can be. So it doesn't have to be a big project. It can be a small project in your home. It can be a personal project. For me, I have a personal project. By next year, I need to get my access level to maybe tier 5, where no matter what, no matter, the ECG, no matter grid code, no matter what happens in Ghana, I will make sure that I have access to energy. Okay, so it's a project, and I've calculated not as in sitting down to talk about cost. Calculating it. No, but I've looked at the benefit of it, and I've looked at the cost side of it, and I think the benefit outweighs the cost. Okay, a lot of times people look at just but the nature of my work is in such a way that I can't be without power. It has to work. I work with my laptop. I work with like it has to be on. It has to be on. And I'm very sure most of you is like that. Most of you is like that. Just few of you that probably if the lights are off, you'll be okay. But most of you, if the light goes off 2, 3 hours, it's even changes, especially in the morning. Then the light goes off 6 a.m. It changes your whole life, like the day. It changes your decision and everything. So we will get there in that sense. So cost benefit analysis is a financial assessment that compares the cost of a project or the decision against its expected benefit. So when the aim is to determine whether the benefit outweighs the cost. Okay. So we won't go into because we will talk about the financial aspect in Unit 4. But just know that the cost benefit analysis of energy bill is part of it. And in rural Ghana, a solar mini grid project can cost more initially than what extending the national grid. And that is something that I also want to bring because economic issue. You realize that there are some places in the rural areas in Ghana here, places, especially there was one place in the Wk2 region where it was very difficult for people to get access to what electricity through what the national, expansion because of the topography and how it is. And it was very costly too. Please, a moment. The eraser. There's no eraser here. There's no eraser here. We've been going next moment. Yeah, here, come in. It's here. Come and take it. Okay. So there are some places getting the national grid with the extension lines, transformers, and everything. That is very, very, very costly. And you realize that the people living there are just maybe 100. So most of the times, what they do is that they look at the cost benefit analysis on a larger scale and what rather go on what an off-grid solution in that sense. So that is there. And one example is a place called is it Pupu? Yeah. Is somebody talking? I heard a voice. Somebody. Okay, let's move on. So there is a place in the northern region, I've forgotten the name. We call those with the solar grammars. So what was this? So a project that was done by one particular NGO. They didn't have because of the area having extending the national grid was very, very difficult. So for years they never had electricity access. So this company went there and they built something small for them. And because in the area they told them about the analysis showed that most of the youth will rather travel to the southern part of Ghana, Accra, Kumasi, to work. So they realized that most of the people in that area were particularly old people, grandmothers. So what they did is that then they have to train them to see how they can what manage these small, small things for their own. And that's why we call them the solar grandmothers. Maybe you can Google about it, but it's happening in the northern part of Ghana, and that is a picture that I got for it. So it was managed by with just small, the batteries are there and they connect their own stuff, unless maybe there's a technical one that they need help, and they will get people from the town to come and help. But they needed how to connect it back and all those kind of stuff. So cost benefit analysis are into play, and sometimes you look at cost, you look at the benefits, you realize it's better to get an off-grid one in place. Okay. So as I was saying, as I was saying, when in the economics, when you talk about cost, we are not just talking about the financial outlays. So it can be social costs and even externalities. Okay, so the social cost refers to the negative side effect of a project, such as environmental damage. There are some power plants. If you want to get, you need to also consider it because yes, it might be cheaper, but the environment too it comes up. So the cost side of it is not just the financial outlay and even opportunity. There can be a social cost and it can also be externalities. So the negative side effect, the social cost is the negative side effect of a project that we are about to take as far as energy access is concerned. Okay. Now, we are the financing local energy access. So I told you the financing aspect, we will talk about it in Unit 4. So here I will just brush through for you to know that there are various methods through which energy project can be funded. So when you get to Unit 4 and 5, we'll talk about the project as a whole, the financing aspect, and the various options that we can use. And we talk about a company which wants to enter into a local energy asset, how he can also source a financing, instrument. So I will leave that one to that particular point. But in Ghana, you need to realize financing of local energy projects can often come from a mixed sources. So you have the government funding, international loans, private individuals, and those things. So those are there, and we'll talk about it, in the Unit 4. Right. Public, private, I will leave that one to that place. We have the microfinancing aspect, leave it. And we have the pay as you go, also financing. I also will leave that to Unit 4. But they are all economic issues. They are all economic side. So with this one, I just want you to know that when you say energy, it's not just the engineering. Economics also comes in. And sometimes, and I've been telling people, I'm in the economics area, then even though my knowledge in the engineering is so limited, but I try as much as possible to understand some few stuff. And I've had a lot of the engineering people who also try as much as possible. They're not even trying, they have to, because they need to present it. So normally they will get an economics guy to help in that sense. So this course, to be honest, of course, we are not going to deep calculations. But energy is one of the issues that we can also take. It is very pervasive and it's also very integral into the economics aspect of it. And by now, I can tell you for a fact, the way the world is transitioning to a sustainable energy future, those of us who in the energy sector are the people who are actually relevant now. I'm not saying those are the other people are not relevant, but Charlie, now if you're looking for any funding, and you look at it as critical minerals, renewable energy, the economics, know that those are the people getting the funding and those kind of things. So is that now even digital marketing students or marketing students are now doing something we call sustainable marketing. I don't know where they got that thing from, but they are all in that area. So you have to find a way of understanding it. And in any case, as I've already explained, it's very pervasive and it's very important. And there's so many things that you can do. So green financing is also one aspect of it. I will leave that one here. It's not that important. Okay. So the another aspect of this economic foundation when it comes to the energy is that energy access and economic development goes together. So energy access refers to availability of reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy source to household businesses and all those things. But you need to understand that it's not just having access to energy, but there are so many ripple effects to the extent that it starts also affecting the economy, especially when it comes to the development of it. Okay. And that is what that aspect of the economic foundation talks about. In many parts of Africa, including Ghana, energy access is critical enabler of economic growth. Without reliable energy, businesses cannot operate. And that one you and I know. Okay. When Gridco bent, like the seas turbines or whatever got bent, I saw people on social media. Yeah, I don't know whether it's correct or not, but I saw that people were throwing away their stuff. I think a cold store was throwing away some fishes that it has gone in, and people were complaining. So the point is that it's not just having the access, but also when you want to develop, energy should be reliable. It's no-brainer. It's something that we need to understand, and that is an aspect of it. Okay, so economic development is there, energy access drives economic development, blah blah. Sure, but job creation, of course, there. So expanding energy has also creates job. It's also part of so under the economic development is the job creation aspect, of course, and job creation aspect, of course, and we have the direct and indirect jobs. So the direct jobs where having access to energy bring directly jobs like the engineers, the maintenance people who maintain it, the construction workers. So it's like a direct job because it has to be put down. So if you want to get a solar even in your home now, you're providing a direct job to somebody. Okay, the installers and those the engineers also is a direct job. Another aspect of the job is that it can also be indirect. Look at an area where they didn't have access to energy. Now power comes in, then you realize that retail stores begin to spring up, restaurants begin to come, factories, meaning corn mill. Let me say, which town? There's one town, Sefikase. I remember 20, not 2019, 1999. I was young then. I went there. They didn't have access to energy. Some years back, I think 2002. Yes, 202 or so. When I finished school, GSS then I went there again. But that time, they've had access to energy and the area was booming. Some people have set up corn, a place to mill corn, that kind of stuff. Some people were like setting up cold stores, all those kind of. So the point is that when energy comes to a place or when people have access to energy, there are indirect jobs that it also creates. And that's what that is particular talking about. And we have the policy regulation and the market dynamics side of what the energy access. Here, what you have to know is the policy, because we talk about policy in Unit 6 and I think 7 or so. So, but know the definitions. Sometimes people use interchangeably energy policy regulation. What is the difference? So energy policy basically talks about the the laws, the regulations, and what here. I think I made a mistake. I need to here. So the policy is basically the strategies. So it's the initiative and the strategy designed to achieve affordable, renewable energy in that sense. The regulations are rather the laws. Okay, so I think I need to make some changes to again. But you need to understand that yes, we use it interchangeably, but when it comes to the difference is that the policy is actually the strategies that are designed to make sure that we have access to what reliable and affordable energy. Okay. And regulations are actually what the laws that governs it. Okay. To make sure that these strategies are being implemented. In Ghana, we have these, and we even have Renewable Energy Act, which is a regulation. So the strategy is there, but the act is actually what? The law that is going to enforce or that's going to make sure that we have access to it. So that's it. But hey, normally people use interchangeably and in that sense. So we have concluded Unit 1, and basically that is that for the economic foundations of it. Any question before we move to Unit 2? No question. Okay. Let me see one person, then call the person so that the person can say, Patrick Esiamalabi. Patrick, say something.
Hello, Doc.
Yeah.
So with this energy policy and the regulations, just how does the government also come in to ensure that maybe private companies and individuals who wish to have this renewable energy source so that it will be off the national grid have that seamlessly without facing any maybe challenges from the delays from the regulators and others?
Is that from this policy and what? I didn't get you. You want to know the policy surrounding Ghana's energy sector or what?
Yes. I'm asking, do Ghana also have something of that nature that will assist maybe individuals and companies that seek to move off grid?
Move off grid and those to have their own. So yes,
Okay.
we'll talk about the policies later, and that one is in the broader sense, the macro level of it. But for Ghana here, the the Renewable Energy Act is there, and that one is more macro to the extent that we want by 2030. They even said 2020 or so that Ghana should get about 10% of the energy mix. When you read the Renewable Energy Act, that energy mix, 10% should come from off-grid. Non-hydro renewables or renewable energy. Let me put it that way. But when you check, the energy mix right now, there's a paper that I wrote in 2019, renewable energy development in Ghana. Yeah. You track the trajectory, you realize that we've not even the non-hydro is just like 2017, it was 0.2%. Okay. And we have been adding more to the fossil fuels, the thermal plants, than renewable energy. Okay. So actually, there are policies there. There are policies there that are regulating, but the enforceability is what the issue is. And I think reality of it talks about it. But what you are talking about is that whether the off-grade and those things. This is what I know. There are companies in Ghana, Peg Ghana, for instance, and other private companies, SunPower, and some of them, they are there. If you want to install, get access to you, and that one is private, they can do it for you. Just that the cost benefit, I'll tell
Yes,
you, is very
yes.
difficult there. So
I'm
Ghana,
asking that because of the frustration, the regulators and even the district assemblies, what they will take you through, if you don't pay money to them, they will not even
yes,
grant you the access
yes,
to do that. Because I quite remember, I think that 2 years ago, we were trying to do something of that nature, and they were taking us 800,000
yes,
to grant us the access, and they are not taking that via transfer or EFT. They want cash.
yes, yes. So so the policies are there, which give companies to. There's actually a company in the my area here. The person was installing it, but last time I checked, it's not even working. The guy is out of business. So now what he's doing that he's dissolved it. It's no more a company, but he knows people. So if you want a solar, whatever, you call him, then you go and install it for you. The system has been so the policies are there to yes, you can do it. You can get a private companies to take you off grid, and sometimes not even off grid. You can have a hybrid system where you have solar. You also have generators, of course, using petrol. Then it can also be tied to the grid itself. So to the extent that when the grid goes off, then you switch on. There are companies there or there are people who give access to people. But the point is that it's not that easy, and the money is the issue. What I don't know, what I don't know is that when it comes to the financing, that's where the problem is. There's no financing by the government to help cushion some of these private institutions to help make it affordable to people. So it's when you have your money, then you go for it. If you don't have your money, it becomes a problem. Okay. And I've seen that there are some banks. I did some work for African China, then I did some green financing, trees. I realized that out of the 24 commercial banks in Ghana, only 6 has a dedicated renewable energy desk. So I know of EcoBank, Absa Bank, where if you want to get some financing for a renewable energy or something on the laptop, you can do it. But it's not easy. So now it's more or less the private sector is on their own when it comes to the financing. But of course, you can't do it. There are some countries, of course, you realize that they've made it in such a way that they've diversified the downstream aspect of to the extent that here in Ghana it's only ECG that can sell power. No other organization. Okay. But so other countries, it's not like that. We have several selling power. So a company can come in, do it and sell power to the indigenous or the people. But it's not possible that in Ghana here to do and sell power and so unless the individual comes to you, you install it and you provide that kind of one-on-one service in that country. Yes, somebody raised it. I don't know if I've answered your question, but we talk more about the policy in Unit 6. So probably when we get there, we will explore more.
Hello, Doc.
Yeah,
I'm the
Jennifer.
one who raised the hand. Yes, I
Yeah.
wanted to find out this regulation by the energy these policies, does it only concern the providers of the energy, or there is a regulation for the consumers as well?
Yes, there's a regulation for consumers. Now, on the reason why sometimes we don't, because when we enter into the, we go into the, the lawyers. But I can tell you, if you flat a law, then you know that yes, there are actually regulations there. Just that Ghana here, we as a BB and Sheda, we say also be a BB. I don't know how to put it. So, but there are regulations there. Yes, that even for the consumer aspect of it. Yes, there are regulations. So
Okay.
I will try and get the energy. I think the act, but they are different. So let me put it that way, for the a way for you to understand. So we have the Renewable Energy Act there. We also have Ghana Energy Commission, something when it comes to the supply side, and we have the demand side. But the demand side is more being regulated by PRC, Public Utility and Regulation Committee. It's not just they just do the pricing, no. They do a lot, but that's most of us we don't know. The PRC is responsible to make sure that ECG and other companies they don't set up some kind of prices for us. So ECG cannot just wake up and go and increase the price. They have to consult them, and it has to be stakeholder negotiation before they come out with it. That's the reason why the pricing is not going up. I mean, they have to decide, then they announce. So that kind is a kind of, but they do more. They do more than that. Just that we have not sat down to even look through. It's unya asema and like all these things comes into play. Okay, so it's not just the side. There are a lot of, and no, understand. There's the different. That's why there's a something different policy and regulations. A policy is a strategy to make sure in this context to make sure that we have access to energy. A regulation is what actually the law that is enacted to make sure that this strategy is what. Okay, and normally we have a regulatory bodies to ensure that. So in Ghana here we have a regulation that used to make sure that there's a fair competition. Okay, and they also protect consumer. That's what PRC is doing, and also maintain safety of energy production and distribution and then. But hey, this course is not for the regulation and whatever. So when we get to the policy aspect, Unit 4, we will Unit 5 and 6. Sorry, we will see how we will look at some of these things. But it's not just the consumer side too. Is also yes, Kenfred. Yeah, Kenfred. Hello.
Yeah, hello, Dr. Ankrah.
Yeah, Kenfred. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about why aren't we paying attention to wind power?
Wind power.
Yeah.
Wind, yes, wind power, that one is an engineering issue. We were in, I was 3 years ago, I was in Kenya. We had a seminar there. We talked about wind power and all, renewable solar and all those kind of stuff. Then last 2 years, I was in Rwanda, and it seems that almost everybody solar. So that question of why not wind power comes in. And that's why I got to know the engineering people started, talking about that. We don't just bring in wind for the sake of it. Okay. But we need to identify the potential at the same time, the availability. Is the wind strong enough to make sure they can generate that power in Ghana here? Okay. So it's not every place. They said that they have to also do some feasibility, whatever, to make sure that the wind at the end. Ghana here, I think the 2000s, that's where I heard that people were exploring the northern part of Ghana, whether wind power generation can also be, be possible. So the exploration is going on, and I believe that now, maybe I have not really followed up until now what is actually going on as far as wind power is concerned. But I know that now the technology has advanced, and if possible, people are exploring that one. I don't know, but I know that, and from what I've heard from the engineering people, the wind availability in Ghana here, especially most part Ghana here, to get that access, it's very, very difficult, and it's not that feasible. If you're not correct, you just put up the plant, the wind will just blow. It's just seasonal, blow 1, 2, then it's not generating power again. And unless maybe the technology changes or whatever. So that is that. And I know sometimes people are exploring to see if it can be possible. So that is something that I can tell you for now, based on my discussion with an engineering person who said, if he's lying, then I'm so lying. But that's what he said. That's what I. Anybody else? And the reason why solar is very there because they've realized that solar, and even back to the wind power thing. And I think as time goes on, it can be possible. It can be because China and other countries, they don't have enough sun like the way we have, but they've able to develop their technology in such a way that even the little sun that they get, they're able to harness power. Hence, China is one of the leading the generator of solar power. Okay, so yes, but for Africa here, the sun is even more than what we need. It's even more than this. That's why the solar is so predominant and pronounced. Okay, but for wind, unless the technology, gets to that level, now what that they are saying is that the availability is too small to even for it to be private, less than even commercial in that sense. Anybody else? Okay, so that is that for unit 1. And I told you those platform, you realize that the course has already been the LMS, sorry, it has already been uploaded. All the units from unit 1 to unit 2. It's actually lecture notes, which is much detailed than this one. And at the end of the lecture notes, you realize there are some questions there. And I said it in our first lecture, please. The questions there, we have multiple choice. We have short answer questions. We have what? Like case study questions. They are not for how they are not for decoration. A word to a wise is enough. For instance, this one says, explain how energy access drives economic development in local community. 3 marks. Okay. Describe the role of microfinancing again. What is the distribution? I'm not saying I'm bringing everything, but if they tell me very soon, they will tell me before your revision week, they will tell me to bring your questions. By that time, I had not even finished teaching you. So what I do is that I just go and pick some of these things, massage the language. And sometimes I don't even massage it, I bring the 22. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Please. Now we finish with unit 1. Whatever you want to do with the questions, you can do with it. Amen. Okay, so let me give you 5 minutes, then we move to unit 2. Okay.
Hello, Doc. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm giving you 5 minutes. We are
Oh, okay.
moving to unit 2 very soon. Okay, so it's left with 3 minutes. Okay, let me make so 2 o'clock. We start with Unit 2. Okay.
Okay.
So just relax, more relax. So absorb everything. You can go to LMS and check Unit 1. You can download it. So you just like so 2 o'clock we start with Unit 2, and that one too we do it pa, then we are done. Okay, thank you for So we move to Unit 2. With Unit 2 we are shifting from the economic foundations and we are going to it proper. Okay. We are going to discuss the energy systems, where we will turn into the distributed energy system, which you normally call the DES. We also look at what the distributed renewable energy systems, which is also known as the DRESS. But forget about the DES and the DRESS. What is important that you know what the systems, what we are talking about. And they are just technical words, but you realize that you already know it. So they represent key part of the solutions to what energy access. They are very, very key. Very, very key. If you're able to understand the systems that we have, then I think it's going to help. So it's going to look a little bit technical, but not so technical. It's technical in the sense that it is something it's something you've not looked at, but you already know. And technical in that sense that the names sound some way, but it's not something you don't know. So That is thing. So the distributed energy systems, the DES and the DRES, okay, they are the same. There's that one is talking about renewable energy system. So the distributed energy systems is that under it we have the distributed renewable energy systems. Okay. And you are not going to understand the key concept of the national energy systems. What are the things that you need to know? What's even a national energy system? You're going to understand the technical designs of DREs, okay, and also what's the understanding of the various design options that we have, and you keep pace with the latest, DRE trends, okay. So anytime you hear DRE, distributed, that means distributed renewable energy. What does even the distributed even means? Okay, that is the point. So an overview of our energy system I have. So first, let's start with a national energy system. So we talk about national energy system, we are talking about a comprehensive framework which encompasses what? The entire life cycle of the energy. So if it is electricity or whatever, it has to normally start from production. Then it has to be transmitted. In other words, transmission. And it has to be distributed and not consumed, which is the latter part. So those are the traditional life cycle of the energy system. Any energy that it has to be produced. Think of any energy that you know. Okay? And I tell you, when you get to the demand side of it, when you say we are consuming energy, we don't chew energy physically, you know. Nobody chews energy, nobody chews electricity. Okay, you consume energy through appliances. So the appliances, that's why when you go to the third aspect of our work, that's what your project is going to be. We'll talk a little bit about appliances. Okay, because every energy that we consume, we consume it through appliance. Okay, so know that. But the point here is that the national energy system, we talk about national. Okay, what do you want? Okay, so when we talk about national energy system, then we are looking at what? A framework that encompasses the life cycle of the energy. And when you say the life cycle, you are talking about the production. Definitely it has to be produced. It has to be transmitted. It has to be distributed. And it has to work using. So let's take electricity, for instance. Electricity is produced in Ghana here from several, that's why you call it generation. So it can come from the Kosumbu Dam, Abuaze Thermal Plant. I know that Asogli also produces some power, and it has to be transmitted. So there's a transmission. That's where the higher tension comes in. So they have a step-up transformers, and they send all this energy through the higher tensions. We also have lower tensions in there. So sometimes when you are traveling in and out of Accra or some place that you get Takrade, whatever, you look at both sides of the road, you will see lines, you will see higher tensions in some places, sometimes in the bush. It's a framework, a system joining and they are transmitting energy from one place, definitely from the production source to other. And we are not going to go into it because we are not doing the engineering aspect of it. We just have to be aware and know. So anytime you are seeing the higher tensions, and there's one higher tension at Circle, especially the VIP station there. Sometimes ago, and which I don't think, I think they've done something because it's very dangerous. Right at the station there, there's a tension there, which, so when you see all these things, know that the electricity is being transmitted. And when it is transmitted, it gets to a distribution point. That's where we have the step-down transformers. That's where ECG comes in. So in your areas, we have several transformers. In our area here, we have one transformer here. We used not to have, but because our area has now gotten a lot of people coming in, in Ghana, somebody will just go and buy land. Immediately, the guy transmits light to the area. So many people start building and developing their land. So when we came to stay here, we were just the only people here. It was a new site. Within 1 year, 2 years, the number of people who have come to stay here. So we started having problems with our distribution. Distribution of power, the low current, and the end. I went to the engineering. what do you call this? Those here, the ECG, when they were saying that they have to increase or give a different transformer because the number of people in the area has increased. So the transformer there is too small. That's why it's getting bigger. So some of you, the light off that you are experiencing, not all of them are typical. Some of them are because the area is too huge. The population has increased to the extent that the demand is so high or more than the supply, which is coming from what? The step down transformer. Okay. So know that there's a cycle. It's coming from somewhere. It gets to the higher tension and comes to what? The distribution. What most of us are seeing is where the ECG comes. Everything ECG, ECG, ECG. No. It's just that they are, when we get to this, we also know that there are several companies managing all the cycles. Then, so it gets to distribution, and distribution gets to what? Consumption, that it gets to our homes, our factories, and also what businesses. So that's a typical traditional life cycle. And the sources or the production, it comes from various sources. Ghana here, I know that we get some from dam, which is a hydro plant, Akosombo, for instance. We also have Bui power dam, for instance. Yeah. We also have what? The thermal plants. The thermal plants are being powered by fossil fuels, the liquefied petroleum gases. Those that they use to power. Some of them are powered by petrol. Some of them are powered by hot diesel. Okay. We have nuclear, but the nuclear is still not there. But it's one of the sources. I know Atomic Road that there's a nuclear commission there. And I think Ghana is looking into. Last time I heard the news that they are now partnering with some company, I think China and the US, so that we can develop our nuclear reactors and produce power. But I want you to know that we can generate or get power from what nuclear energy too. Okay. Yeah. So there are several sources of it. Again, supported by essential infrastructure, and this framework is supported by an infrastructure system. That infrastructure system, there are two types. You have the grid or the central grid system or a distributed energy system. Okay, we will get there in the next slide. Okay, so we have a system that's been, then we also have a policy governing a policy and regulations that ensures the efficient use of what energy. So when you look at every country, it will have a national energy system. We realize the national energy system is like that. There's a transmission, there's a production, of course, generation, there's a transmission, and there's what? A distribution and what? A consumption. Definitely, you also have that this production is coming from two main systems or two main framework, which would be either a central grid or a distributed energy system. And normally, always, they have a governing policy and what regulations to ensure that there's an efficient supply of what this energy. So that's what we mean by a national energy system. And I talked about the grid system and the distributed energy system, and that is the focus. So in this, and we've talked about the flow, the cycle, but the next is for us to know what the infrastructure framework that supports this cycle and that makes sure that we get access to the energy. And the latter part, you look at the policies too. So this course or this particular unit will focus on what the grid systems and what the distributed system. So we have the grid system, and it's very simple. A grid system refers to a large-scale network that transmits electricity from a centralized power plant to consumers via or through what? Transmission lines and substations. So Ghana here, we have a grid system. And how is our grid system work like? We have a central place where power is generated. Some are from what? Akosombo Dam. Some are from Bui. And they send all these things and transmit to our substations. And these substations begin to distribute the power to us. So I know Tema has a power station of Ankrah, and that of Ankrah and Pokuase area, they also have a power stations there. So you realize that there are some places that they have power stations. Okay. And from the power stations, they begin to have transformers, and the distribution goes into what? Our various homes, our industries, marketplaces, and everything. So that is a central system. We call it the grid system or a centralized grid or whatever system. Everything is from one place and being transported and distributed to our places. So when there's something wrong with the central generation points, it affects everything. That's where when the grid core bent, that when it got bent, most of the places in Accra here went off. Are you getting it? So that's the grid system. It normally run by the government, normally run by. So while the grid efficiency supplies energy to urban centers, rural areas still face frequent shortages and lack of what and access entirely due to higher costs and infrastructure. So we will get there, but let me show this video so that you understand the grid system. Please, a moment. Let me. I should have. Should have shared it with. Why is this thing not coming?
Every time you plug in your phone or turn up the heating, you're using energy. But getting it to you isn't as simple as flicking a switch. Let's start with where it comes from. We get electricity from sun, water, wind, and traditional fuels. This is turned into energy by producers. Then National Grid steps in, taking high voltage raw electricity from the producers and carrying it around the country on one of the world's most reliable networks of cables, pylons and wires. The amount of energy we use goes up and down. Behind the scenes, the electricity system operators' control rooms work to balance supply and demand, making sure there's always enough for everyone. So how does electricity get to our homes? A network of local operators manage and maintain the pylons, substations and cables in your region to make sure they keep your lights on. To make the electricity safe for us to use, they help to lower voltage first, before feeding it down their cables to our front doors. If you live in the Midlands, the southwest of England or South Wales, National Grid is your local operator. If you live in another region, you'll have another local operator. So who sends you your bill every month? That's your supplier. They buy energy from the producers, then sell it to you. But that's not where the story ends. We all want cleaner energy, so National Grid is getting ready for a net zero future. Connecting up more renewables and sharing green electricity with Europe via huge undersea cables. All of this keeps our hospitals, schools, transport networks and homes running, so you can stay plugged in and switched on.
Ankrah is changing the game and giving away free cash. Introducing the Bigo Scan and Win promo. Your chance to enjoy great taste and win instant cash every day. Just buy a bottle of Bigo Cola.
Happy.
La Fonte Pepe Powder.
Sorry, let's put the last one, then I'll just run so that you understand what I'm trying to say.
In today's video, we're going to look at the national grid, which is the giant network of transformers and wires that spreads across the country to distribute our electricity. Electricity in the UK is generated from a range of different sources, but most of it comes from power stations. Now, whether we're burning fossil fuels or doing nuclear fission, power stations work by generating loads of heat and then converting that thermal energy into electrical energy. How much electricity they generate, though, depends on demand. Generally, electricity demand peaks in the late afternoon and evening, when everyone gets home from school or work and starts cooking and watching TV. To cope with these surges in demand, power stations need to have lots of spare capacity, and so they often run at well below their maximum power output. Regardless of the time of day, though, we are always using loads of energy, and so the national grid has to transmit huge amounts of power. If you remember the equation, power is equal to voltage times current. So to achieve a high power, we really need a...
Okay, so basically, I mean, it's what it's saying. So that is the grid system where there's a central, power station or a power plant that transport or transmits electricity to our various homes in there. So that's basically the grid system here. So there's a generation, of course, then they transmit the power to a generating step-up transformers. Those transformers are different from the ones we see in our area here. Okay, those in our area are basically the step-down transformers, but we have a step-up transformers that get the power from people. And from the step-up transformers, it's been transmitted through higher tensions and transmission lines, blah, blah, blah. So that's where the transmission goes on. Then we have the substation step-down transformers. So these step-down transformers are in our local areas. That's why I say in Accra, the place that I know that Tema and also of Ankrah, I know that there are several places, but you realize that we have a place, a substation that have all these things. And from there, they begin to distribute the power into our various homes. It can be in the industry, commercial or residential places. So that is the grid system. That is the grid system. And in Ghana here, Volta River, the VRA is primarily responsible for operating or generating power. Okay. So they generate power in that sense. And they operate, I know they operate the Akosombo Dam, hydroelectric power plant in Akosombo, which you normally call Akosombo Dam. I know that they also operate the thermal plants, which supplements the power supply that they get. So I know of that. And VRA also engages the transmission, because when you put, you have to transmit it. So they engage the transmission through its network, ensuring that electricity is generated, in an efficient way. Now we have another company that is responsible. We call the Ghana Grid Company. They are also responsible for transmission. They are responsible for those lines and everything. So they get it from VRA, and for some part of Ghana, they operate the national transmission grid. That one, I'm sure that even though VRA is a little bit, but the only part of transmission that they do is to get the step-up transformers to the grid core. Okay, but when it comes to the transmission here, it's for grid core, Ghana Grid Company. They are responsible for the transmission that electricity they get from what VRA. And I know that it's not, the government has also made sure that they're independent power producers. So things have changed. At first, it was just VRA, but now other companies too private companies also produce power. I know of Asogli. Asogli also produced by, it's owned by a Chinese and Ghana. I think Togo Afede and other Chinese company, they are producing it. Okay, so it's not just VRA now, but they used to be just VRA. Okay. So Gridco is responsible for the transmission, the system operations and all those things. And we have ECG. So this is where ECG comes in. The substations, they are very close to us. That's why everything we say ECG. So problem in you get it. But they work at the various substations. Okay. They work at various substations and they distribute the power to our homes. And they are very close to the customer service and all those guys. So they do it. But when it comes to ECG and the distribution of power to consumers, you need to do that. When it comes to the southern part of Ghana, ECG takes part. But when it comes to the northern part of Ghana, from Sunyani upwards to the northern Tamalewa, Bolgata, you know that place, all those from Sunyani upwards, that one is handled by NEDCO, Northern Electricity Distribution Company. So know the difference. Know the difference. So it's not ECG responsible for all the places in Ghana when it comes to distribution of power. When it comes to the southern part, from Kumasi downwards to Accra and all this environment, that one is the ECG. But when it starts from Sunyani upwards to Wa and Bolagatanga, Upper West, Upper East, and all those places, that one is NEDCO, which is responsible for that. So that is some medication that we have to know. And all these, they coordinate and collaborate to make sure that we get power to it. Okay. So that is basically what I've shown here. Akosombo, we have the Pone thermal plant. So all this is about, Akosombo is managed by VRA. Pone thermal plant, I think that one is managed by VRA. Asogli is a private one. They all generate power and they give it to power stations. I know that it goes to thermal power station. Thermal power station, we have high voltage transmission lines. Bui Dam too, I know Bui also, but Bui is not in Akosombo. There is, why is Bui?
In the Bono region.
Bono,
yes, Bono region. Yeah, that one is in the Bono region. So that's
Very
why. But they
close to
also generate. Yes, they also generate. So it's not VRA. The BUI is separated from VRA. So that one is also a commission on its own, enacted by law. So, but they operate like VRA. Okay, they also generate power and they give it to Kumasi Power Station and also, I think the Sunyani Power Station also. And so this is just some drawing B for you, but the real thing is schematically shown here. There's a generation, there's a transmission, and there's a distribution, and there are several companies involved. Please, next time, don't go and blame ECG for everything. Look at where the problem is coming from. But that is that. Now, I hope it's very clear now. So that is the grid system. Now let's look to the distributed energy system. So unlike the grid system, the distributed energy system are smaller. They are decentralized. So it's not a central place where you get the power. And they generate energy close to what the point of what use, rather than relying on long distance transmission. Is it? So for instance, a solar system, about that, so it is on the rooftop. That one is a distributed energy system. It's your own, very close to your house. It's not joined to the grid. So all those frameworks, all those infrastructure framework, that's why we call what distribute. So I told you know it, but just that you agree when you saw with the bigger name. So anytime you hear distributed energy system, know that it's any power that or any energy system where it is not what? It's decentralized. It's not centralized. And it's what? There's no transmission lines. And it's close to what? The end user. Okay. If that particular plant which is generating power, it is a renewable energy source, we call it distributed renewable energy, DRESS. Have you seen the difference? So don't get confused. So all the solar, wind, biomass, because they are renewable energies, we call them what? Distributed renewable energy. Okay. But if you have, for instance, some people, they don't have solar, but they have generator. They buy fuel, petrol, and they put it in, and they spark it. That one is a distributed energy system. But if it is solar, it is distributed renewable energy system. So they are the same, but the specifics are very, different. There's a subtle difference in terms of it. So just know the difference in that sense. Okay. I hope I'm clear on that
Hello,
one.
Doc.
Hello, Doc.
Yeah. Yeah, save it.
Please take it
Can you
again,
please
please.
go over again? Sorry. It looks your line was breaking. I don't know
My
if
line
it's
was
from my
breaking.
end or yes, sir. So can you please take it there again?
Okay. I'm
Thank you.
saying that we've understood the grid system, right?
Yes.
Yes. Now let's move to what we call the distributed energy system. In simple short, you already know it, but just that the name is very technical. And that is all. And it means that this energy system is not centralized, it is decentralized. There is no central point where we are getting the power. And for that matter, there is no transmission lines. There's no higher tension, there's no transformer. And it's close to what? The end user. Immediately that system comes into play, we are talking about a distributed energy system. The distributed here means that it is scattered. It's not coming from one source. So, Sister Savior or Brother Savior, in your house, you have a solar energy or whatever. It's not connected to anybody's power. It's your own. It's in your house. It's close to you. There's no transmission lines. There's no transformer. Are you getting it? So we call those ones distributed energy systems. If it is a generator, your light goes off, you take a generator, you spark it, you connect, there's power. It's a distributed energy system. Why? Because it's not coming from a central grid. It's coming from your own. It's close to you. There's no transmission lines. There's no power substations, and there's nothing like step-down transformers. Very close to you. You connect it, and you get light. And now within that distributed energy systems, we have ones which are the sources are basically renewable energies: the solar, the wind, the biomass, and maybe sometimes small scale hydropower. Those ones are what? Distributed renewable energy.
All of that
Okay.
then points us to problems with electricity, the ECG that may take our economy, downhill.
I'm getting feedback, please. Who is that?
With crypto board, also the gold purchase program. That's look like there's trouble if we don't do certain things right. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you very much for making time to join us.
I'm getting a feedback. Who is that? Hey, Mumuamie, Anna Mufimi.
We are here, Doc.
I'm getting some feedback. Strong one. Okay. So yes, that's what where did I even get to? I got confused. So distributed energy system are the smaller decentralized systems that are they generate power or energy close to us. There are no transmission lines, there are no substations, there are no transformers. They are just that. And when it is a renewable, because the distributed one can be a renewable energy or non-renewable. If you use petrol in your generator, it is not a renewable energy. It is a fossil fuel, it's a non-renewable. Okay, so know the difference. Just know that there's a grid system and there's a distributed energy system. But if you want to be very specific, if it is from a solar and renewable energies, we call those ones distributed renewable energy. DRESS. Am I okay?
Yes, sir.
So I can continue.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. So from now onwards, when you hear DRE or DES, just know that we are talking about off-grid. Okay, so that's why some people call it off grid. Yes, let me put it that way. Some people say off grid. You are off the grid. You are not getting power from the government or ECG or whatever in this context. You are getting your own power. It's close to you. You are managing everything. So you are off the grid. Okay, or technical words, distributed energy system or whatever it is. And that is the alternative that we are going to talk about, or that forms the basis of this particular course. We know the grid and we don't have much control. As a matter of fact, it's even unreliable sometimes. Not that sometimes. Now that we are even improving it, but Charlie, it's not that. So let's look at the DES and the DRES. Okay, these are the alternatives. These are the off-grid issues. And that informs that one. But just know that that is the And one part of the energy system that we have interconnections, okay, especially in Ghana here. So energy interconnections refers to the physical and operational links between different energy systems or grids, allowing for the transfer of electricity across regions. Okay, so in Ghana here, across the regions here, it's not just region in Ghana. We are talking about regions maybe South Africa, Western Africa. Do you know that Ghana will supply also power to Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso and our neighboring countries? Yeah. Yes. And that one is handled by the West Africa Power Pool, WAP. So they connect the country's grid to our neighboring countries, facilitating cross-border energy trade and improving regional energy security. So know that there's a company called WAP, West African Power Pool. Some of you didn't know that there is when I started teaching this course that I realized, hey, everything that we know about energy, ECG. But that just know that. So they have a system that, and we are not interested in knowing the system for this course. If you are doing engineering, fine, go and look about it. But know that there's interconnection and WAP is responsible for that. So maybe in your exams, these are some of the questions, like multiple choice questions. Which company is responsible for interconnection, blah, 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 blah. A, this, B, this. And sometimes feeling. Okay. Yeah. So when we have renewable energy sources, that's what I've talked. So the sources are solar, wind, biomass, and they are increasingly becoming popular in that. And to the extent that there are some of the people who are using fossil fuels to generate power, they are now thinking about using renewable energies. So one thing you need to know that you can get power from what? Renewable sources. We can get power from non-renewable sources. If we use natural gas, petrol to generate power, to fuel your thermal plants to generate power, that one is what? Fossil fuel. There's non-renewable power station. Okay, but if you are using renewable energies like solar, whatever, to generate power, and in Ghana here, I think even Bui Dam, apart from using the solar, apart from using or getting power from the dam, hydro, they are also, and not that they are also, they've inculcated a non-hydro power source, which is what? Solar unit. So this is what I'm saying. So this is a Bui dam, and this is a floating power power source. So it's what? The panels, solar panels on what? The river or the dam on the water. And let me show you this.
Lafont pepper powder. This advert is FDA approved.
Bui Power Authority will contribute to meeting the growing demand. But I will not say that, yes, we have all that it takes to meet the growing demand.
That is an old video, so it's not like it's an old video. Just for education's sake, for you to understand that they
Hello
have a
and
solar.
welcome to Best Tech on Ghana Web TV. My name is Ernestina Sewa Asante. As you can see, I am on a floating solar plant here at the Bui Power Authority. Yes, it is a bit bouncy, but the truth is, I am scared, but I need to do this as a journalist. And my guest is the Director of Renewables at the Bui Power Authority, Wisdom Togogbo. And he is going to tell us more about this 5 megawatt solar plant. You're welcome onto the show.
Thank you very much.
First off, tell us about the history of Bui Power Dam.
Okay, Bui Power Authority was established in 2007 by an act of parliament. Construction started 2008, and by 2013, we started generating power. And we started with a total capacity of 404 megawatts hydropower plant, which you'll be seeing very soon. Following that,
Coca-Cola is changing the game and giving away free cash. Introducing the Bigo Scan and Win promo. Your chance to enjoy great taste and win instant cash every day. Just buy a bottle of Bigo Cola. Locate the QR code on the label. Scan with your smartphone, watch the video and enter your details and stand a chance to win instant cash. No waiting, no stress, just real rewards instantly. From everyday refreshment to unexpected rewards, Bigo Cola is more than a drink. It's an experience. So what are you waiting for? Grab your Bigo Cola today, scan the code and win big.
Bigo, big on taste, refresh your vibes.
This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply.
Guys, I think this video is repeating itself, and there are so many. But the point is that that is the Bui power plant, which has a non-hydro renewable, which is the floating solar panels. So they generate power from both the hydro, which is the dam, and also generate power from what the solar panels. So look that. Okay. So we are still on the DES, and this one is Egomua Anyaze Solar Power Plant, Ghana here. So they also are, I think this is for a community, and so these ones are DES. They are not tied to the grid. So we call it a distributed, of course, because it's a solar renewable energy system. Okay, so the panels are here, so light shines on it. It gets to the various power stations, and I mean the engineering people take over and they produce light for the community and those things. So these are basically examples of DES, and to also go on. Some of you have seen, they are even in your areas. You've seen a lot of. So some of you are even working in companies where you install solar power and those kind of things. So we call those one the DES or DES. And let's see, let's watch this. 1, 2, sorry. Oh. Why this thing not? Oh. Oh, I wanted to show you. Oh. Okay. Let me try and go to YouTube and show you something. This one is very important. Please, a moment, I'll be with you very soon. Okay, so a moment, I think okay.
In Africa, 600 million people lack access to electricity. Agatha was one of them.
Matatonu na azao galama hafi mamlani man electric iron haza fifia na benyamagafle akao na adova van fine.
With electricity comes new opportunity for Agatha and her community. Today, Ghana is providing electricity to more than 83% of its population, the second highest in sub-Saharan Africa. But connecting remote areas like Aglakope to the national grid has proven to be nearly impossible. The solution, a solar-powered mini-grid, an affordable renewable alternative that can connect the homes and businesses in remote areas to power. These rural towns on the Volta River will now enjoy uninterrupted power, bringing new life, security, and economic opportunity.
The light has indeed brought a very positive change to the members of the community, and to be specific, my students. With the light, they've been able to learn in the evening, which helped them to progress in their academic performance, especially in the class.
Now, this year, this light, Unatiana, you are also forming in Daho, I yeshadi. This year, your Nick is for Omasitano, I pay, Empo, ye ni light of 24/7. I said, no munya light of ye de Musa.
The government of Ghana, with support from IDA, the World Bank's Fund for the Poorest, constructed solar-powered mini-grids in 5 island communities on the Volta River to bring sustainable electricity to these remote areas. These solar-powered mini-grids are supplying reliable energy to 10,000 Ghanaians, helping Ghana achieve its goal of energy for all.
Before this project will be established, there are a lot of challenges in this community here. People from outside normally come to the community and steal us. But because of this project, they stop coming. We are getting pure water, we are watching TVs.
Boni light here enakwe babie. Inye ga ihe numi ye shika sande yo. Shini light here babie. Ina ya he villager. Ike honi inho chinalo. Inho wolu. Nekema shikane ina ke yoke bua inwule. Inke yoke boale ni ke webi am school fees here. Mi hunka inoko ba inye ni ke mashika na fio eku.
Scaled up across the continent, solar-powered mini-grids could be Africa's solution to achieving universal access to electricity.
Okay. Before you go, I have some few questions to ask. Let you know that whether people were. Brown, David. Hello, David.
Doc.
Yeah. Did you watch the video?
Doc, I was a bit distracted.
That's macho. That's macho. Most of you, we are doing your own thing.
Oh, Doc, David.
You were a bit distracted. So that's Charles appear.
Yes, Doc.
Do you watch the video?
Yes, I do.
You did, eh? So let me ask you a question. The teacher, what did he was teaching in the video? He was teaching. There was some drawing be on the whiteboard. What was he drawing?
Doc, actually, I saw the drawing, but I wasn't able to. I saw that he was doing something. I was trying to identify what he was actually doing, but I couldn't get it.
Charles, are you sure? Hey, he drew something.
Yes, Doc.
Abraham.
I saw it. Yeah, he was even labeling it, but I didn't know.
Also, you don't know, and I am going to say you don't know. Okay, Matthew.
Yes, Doc.
This
one is subjective. Per what I saw, it's an intersigned drawing, which is like it looks like the male genital organ.
Oh, are you sure it's the male?
It was the female. So yeah, that was what I saw.
You know our science teachers. I don't know. The school I went to, the way our science teacher was very good with that topic.
Yeah, it was the reproductive system.
Reproductive system. And the guy drew Mr. Sam. That was the name of our science teacher. Or draw, come on.
The labels were very, very legible.
Very, very. The challenge was labeled here. So, okay, that is just by the way. Another question. You know that the guy talked about 24/7 that the omni krumu for then. I don't know if you guys heard. Anybody heard that? There was one interview. He said 24. Yeah, also many kuruma there even more than a highlight of Niha there. And that is something that we will talk about in Unit 3, the multi-tier framework, where you can be, is it possible to have access to energy 24/7? Yeah, I schooled in China. I think most of you know. The 7 years that I stayed in China, the lights went off twice, only 2 times that I could remember. And that 2 times, the 2 was as a result of maintenance. They gave us notice that they are going to use like from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. They are going to do a system maintenance. So they gave us notice like 1 week before. they said 4 hours, like 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. How many hours? Like 7 hours or so. I'm not quite sure of the hours. They actually used 2 hours to do the maintenance. I thought it was the second time too. They said they were going to do another maintenance. And they said we're going to use 2 hours. So they actually used 30 minutes to do it. I'm trying to let you understand that there are some countries in the world here, and I have lived, in one of them, bro, where 24/7 having light is a truism. In other words, it's possible. And that is a tier that we need to get to. And if our energy systems, especially the grid system, is not giving us that opportunity, what alternative do we have? And what can we do? And that is why I'm bringing, or we are trying to let you know, these DREs in the East. We have the solars. And when you get to the emerging trends, probably I will show you some of the power stations that, maybe next, when we meet face to face, I'll try and get some, videos for you to know. And I think some of you already have seen it before, the power stations that we have, that you don't have to get a solar on your roof. You can get a battery coom. At the same time, a storage system that you can just plug in and just have power in your homes. So with that, I think now you know what the grid system is. And also with the videos that I've shown you, we've also seen what the DREs and the DEs are, also with the DOs, with the videos that I've shown you. Now let's look at the technical aspect of it. So with the DEs, not the grid. The grid, you already know. We have the transmission lines, we have the generating, we have the transmission, we have the distribution, power stations, and all those kind of things. Now, with the DES, or the distributed renewable ones, we have the energy donation units too, normally the solar panels. So it can be a solar panel, it can be a wind turbine, it can be a biomass digester, or whatever. But that is the generation unit that attracts the renewable energy itself. Okay. We have the storage part of it, which is normally the batteries. Okay, so those of you who are into this energy, you realize that most of the solar panels in the homes, they have batteries and they have inverters, okay, to help in that sense. Okay, please a moment, let me just pick the call, I'll be with you. Let's move on. So we have the energy storage systems, energy storage unit, which is the batteries that stores the excess energy and use it during where period is low generation and all that. We have the energy management system. So that is also the technology that monitor and also control the energy production and distribution and the consumption. So these are, just know them, it's not that important for you. So solar PVs should explore the different DRE systems configurations. So you can have there are several configurations, and you can have strictly solar panels or solar PV system. Photovoltaic panels convert sunlight directly into electricity. That system can be installed on rooftop solar or ground mounted in open space. You can also have wind turbines. Somebody asked of wind. So I think in the US it's very, very common. And I say some part of China, but here it's not that common. You can also have a macro and mini grid hydropower. There are some villages, there are some streams where you can, I know of India, where people convert their streams into also generation of power is there. So that can be possible. So there are several configurations. It can also be a biomass. You convert organic material such as agricultural waste, wood pellets, or biogas into what? Energy. That one too is there. We can have a hybrid system. With the hybrid, you can combine. So you can combine 2 or more renewable sources to optimize the production and reliability. So it can be a solar plus wind plus what are all going to one particular place. It can also even be a solar plus diesel generator or whatever. They're all hybrid systems. Are you getting it? So it is that there are some homes where they have a generator. They also have a solar system. Okay, so the hybrid is also possible to have. And the option is that we have the technical factors, we have the economic factors. These are not that important. So just designing options that we have, not that important. But there's something called the levelized cost or the cost and energy production analysis. Okay. So, and this one is very, very important for you to also understand. If we are producing an energy or you are doing a cost benefit, and definitely the cost will come in. And I told you that in economics, the way we see cost is different from the way accounting and other people see cost. Okay. And in the life of generating power or having access to energy, whichever distribution that you want to, whichever technology you want to use, whether solar or whatever, and you want to get that project into your home, if it is a private one or a community one or whatever, there's something we call cost that you have to do. But the cost that we normally know or we take into consideration is not the cost that we do or the financial. We call it the levelized cost. And it's very, very important. That levelized cost takes into consideration time. I told you in economics, time is very important. Okay. So normally when you are trying to do a cost benefit analysis, the levelized cost in such a way, so he said, here, let me read here. He said, each DRE design option must be assessed for its cost effectiveness. If I'm going to get a solar in my home, is it even cost effective? Is it okay? Is it like, what is the benefit that I'm going to get? Why don't I just rely on the grid system and that is pure economic issue. He said this includes calculating the levelized cost. So you are doing cost benefit, and that cost is what you call the levelized cost, and that's what I want you guys to know. The levelized cost here takes into consideration the total life cost divided by the total electricity generated. So you look at the solar panels. You get a solar panel, you get a battery, you get everything. That is initial cost. But there's going to be some maintenance. There's going to be also some things that you are going to do, maybe installation, whatever. Then look at what is the lifespan of that particular system, solar system that you are going. I'm using solar system here as an example, not to confuse you. So I get a solar, the lifetime is maybe for 20 years. For that 20 years, that life, or what will be the cost? Okay. What will be the cost? If I'm able to determine the cost of that, I will divide by the total electricity I'm generating, and that gives me the levelized cost. And that's what we use for the calculation of the cost benefit and those things. Because here, you think that, yes, it's very expensive. You get, for instance, 40,000 Ghana, so let me say 50,000, whatever, let's say 70,000 to 80,000 to fix a solar system in your house. One, the cost is very high, 70,000. Let's say that the installation and everything may be 10,000, making 80,000. Maintenance, let me say maybe, but what is the lifespan of this? But normally the solar panels is like 15 to 20 years. So with the whole of 20 years, the only cost you're going to incur, for instance, is maybe 100,000. That's for the initial getting the panels and everything, the installation and everything. And also, let me say, maintenance. That will cost, let me say, 100,000. But note that you're not going to pay any electricity. You're not going to pay anything. Take that cost and compare it with that 20 years, the amount of electricity you are buying from ECG. And that is how you can do your cost-benefit analysis. And the fact that not just the amount, but also the inconveniences you go through as a result of the unreliability of what ECG power. But with the solar, you know that we are reliable. It is there. So the cost here that we normally consider is what we call the levelized cost. It's the total lifetime cost divided by the total what electricity generated. And this one is the typical multiple choice questions. Please take note of that. The typical multiple choice question. Okay. So these are some of the emerging trends. We have the green mini grids. So we have these mini grids powered by renewable energy sources, and that is solar power plants, solar wind, are gaining traction in Africa. Yes, it's something that people are actually looking at. It's an emergency. Yes, Ibrahim Dazi.
Doc, thank you. So using your solar panel example that you just did, now we've agreed that maybe an initial cost is maybe 90,000, as you just said, assuming. Now, how can you also generate the total generated electricity when you are buying the solar panel? Do they have maybe the generated, like, how would they quantify it? How would you know?
I get it. That one is engineer. Yeah, they have it. Normally the panels, how much it will generate and everything. And the point is that those people who install it for us, we don't ask them questions, so probably they don't know. And even the amount that you are spending when you go and buy power, if you want to know, when you look at the sheet that they give you, you will know. Just that it's so technical that people don't look at it. But yes, every solar power has an amount of power it generates, so you're able to know. Okay, but these ones, and it's been done by the engineer when they are installing, they know those things and they can give it to you if you want to do the calculation. Yes, so you can know the total number generated within here. You can know for an hour. You can know for there's a seminar we will do after this course. Maybe next semester. I think this semester, we'll do a seminar. We'll get one engineering people to see how they design mini grids for you. And then, so you just go through, we've done for the first cohort people. So you are left, but we'll do it after this one. So yes, it's possible that you know. Yeah, Hassan.
Yes, Doc, to add to what Abraham asked. So the solar system, each panel has a capacity it generates. And you will be able to tell depending on how much you need. You'll be able to know. And now best practice is that to make the cost lower, some countries introduce net metering systems. Where the power you generate, if you don't need all, you can resell it back to the state.
And you get
at the end of the day, you make money and also you have your power. And so it encourages households to invest in solar.
Yes. But Ghana here, we don't have the net metering thing. So that's why people but there are some countries they sell it and they when they generate the power, the excess one they sell it and get power too. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for adding to it. Yeah, Charlie, you are following, Charlie. Yeah, Abraham.
So, Doc, you see, I'm asking this question because looking at the way Ghanaians we are cost conscious. If we do critical analysis and we get to know that this solar was maybe quite cheaper, I'm sure majority of us would have been patronizing it.
Yes.
But doing a comparative analysis and you got to know maybe the national grid is quite cheaper, though less reliable. We are cost conscious. That is why I don't know if we get to know that the solar is cheaper. All of us would have gone into it. I don't know if there need to be more education if really indeed it's cheaper.
Yeah, but no, cheaper is relative. Okay. So for you, I know of a company, ASAP, Africa Center for Energy Policy. I don't know if it's a non-government. It was formed by Amin Adams, the former finance minister.
Yes.
So ASAP, at first, they had a solar system. They were using hybrid. So they were both on the national grid, and they got a solar. I mean, when you go to the office, they got a solar onto the system. So it was running both. When the national grid goes off, then they bring this one. But later they realized that now they are running 100% solar. Because they did the analysis and for them, it's working for them. But for you, maybe you don't have any company or any business or the answer with the phone I charge where like you charge your your laptop, you are not into you just rely on your salary on that kind of, there's nothing so eminent on when the light goes off. Then so sometimes you look at it, if you get a solar, there's no much, so you just realize, you rely on what? The national grid. And let me get it. It's not that the national grid is bad. It's just about the unreliable. The way it's not reliable, and when you need to do certain things, it becomes some kind. It can cost you, not just money. It can cost you. It can cost people's lives. And that's why in the initial our first class, I was telling you how the light. When the light goes off, the kind of frustration that you find yourself. To the extent that some of the students that I taught last year, somebody lost their dad. Because of what? Power outage. So somebody saying from my view, I think it's a long run. In the long run, acquiring solar is the best energy solution for business. Yes, I know of a church on Sundays, they rely on generator. On Sundays, they just, even though ECG works they will just rely on generator. Why? Because on 2 consecutive occasions, the light went off and they realized that their power, their sound system got spots. And it was huge money. So on the 3rd time, the pastor told them that nobody, since that time, the pastor told them that every Sunday they should just go off and be on generator. So imagine if it's not generator, but it's solar. Are you getting it? Unreliability can cost people. It has cost people life to the extent that, Charlie, people have lost business, have lost fridges and a lot of stuff. So my church relies solely on generator. Yes, somebody is saying yes. Yeah. Sometimes be there, hallelujah, God, but you're fine. Then basa. Now home you get it. If you don't get it, forget about it. Don't worry. So yes, that's what the initial cost is higher, but it's cheaper in the long run. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you do cost benefit, and that's why the lifespan of the student must be taken. And yes, sir, you always focus on the initial cost. And if I was teaching energy, economics of innovation and technology, I would have said, but I don't want to go into it because I'm thinking temporal decisions where the lifespan or time is taken into consideration with any kind of technology or innovation you want to come into place. Time. You take into consideration, hey, but you take into consideration the lifespan, you realize that in the long run, it's cheaper. Like electric vehicles, EVs. I've told people at those times, I was looking for Honda. Honda was my dream car, Honda CRV. Now I say, I told my friend I've changed my mind. Now, Charlie, I'm going fully EV. Fully EV. I've done that as I've realized it's better to be on the EVs than the fuel that why? Because of the calculation. So, as we are saying, we are, cost conscious. But if you sit down and calculate in the long run, I can tell you. And now with technology and even China coming, you spend time. You spend time beginning to do, and you realize that it's better. It's better to be on these renewables. And any addition, anything, any question? If no, I can continue and just finish this thing up. Okay, so we have the green energy democratization. The concept refers to decentralization of the energy production, allowing for local communities and individuals to generate, store, and even sell. That's what Hassan was talking about, net metering. So we call that whole concept the energy democratization. And I think so. Some countries is like that. So you have your own money. You can set up a power generating system, a DE. Then you generate for yourself, and the rest you sell it to people, or you even sell it to the government. So that is something that we do. So this is also a trend. We have digitalization coming up. Yeah, so the integration of digital tools such as smart meters and even what Internet of Things devices and what it's also revolutionized the DRE. So people are now able to know that now some of the meters you can be in your home and buy. Not that not some of the meters, like the new meters which are coming up. You don't have to get a card and go walk to ECG and go and buy. Now with your phone, you just buy. They give you a token, you mention it, and you get it. So things are changing. Now, internet of digitalization is also entering into the system, and that is one of the trends or something that is coming up. This technology allow for real-time monitoring, blah blah blah. That is all. So digital transformation. I also know of the power stations. I didn't add it to this one, but it's something or a trend that is coming up now. People are moving from that traditional power stations where it's not portable. You're moving, you can't move it. Now they've developed power stations, a higher one, of course, where you can move it along. Okay, it's like a battery. It stores, it generates, stores. Most of you have seen it. Mastec, something. I saw one TikTok video. One guy was, yeah. So it's that you don't have to get a solar panel on you. You just when the power comes in, the national grid comes, you charge it. Then you store it. When there's no national grid, you can use a portable solar panel to charge it. When the light goes off, you just plug and play, then it comes. If you are traveling, you can send it along. If you are going to a camp, you can also send it. Okay. Yeah. So it's like that. So I will show you those videos probably next week. By God's grace, you meet them. I'll show you those videos so that you can get understanding of it. Okay, so there are also questions under Unit 2, and you can look at it and also things. So, for instance, what is distributed energy system? A large scale, blah, blah, blah. That is it. So these are some of the questions that you can look at. So we are done with Unit 2. What do you think? Should we do Unit 3 or we should shift it to next week? That's my bro. And
Yeah, that's it. It's not easy sitting this long.
Doc, we can shift.
We can shift to next week, eh?
Yes, Doc.
So that we
Yes,
can
Doc.
next week. Then if I do next week, then we can do 3, 4, or an even 5. Let's see. Next week.
Next week we'll have. Thank you.
Next week, because I'm tired. To be honest, I'm really tired.
We can see.
Yeah. How did you know?
No, we sympathize with you. You are tired.
Because we are.
You look at you.
Abraham, that's it.
Guys, so it's 3:14. Even we make us the track and the check have more. Yes, Kenfred.
Yeah, Dr. Isaac Ankrah. There is this. First of all, thank you very much. This lecture has been very, very enlightening, and I'm glad you mentioned the WAP and
yes.
This thing. I don't want to say that it sickens me, but it's very much. I'm finding it very hard to comprehend. We export electricity power to many different nations.
Different countries, yes.
Many countries in Ghana. I mean, Ghana, we used to import, but now we export. And we export, just last year, I understand we exported around, is it 300 megawatts? I can't be sure on that, but I think it's around that, yeah. But we aren't able to extend this grid system to most rural areas in Ghana. Yes. And even some secluded areas in the city.
In the city, yes. I know of a Volta region. They just got light last this early of this year.
Yes, so I still don't understand this whole thing. And you know, you're living in a secluded area, you want to get electricity, you have to pay, you know, for the hardware stuff, the infrastructure. You have to pay for it. I just don't get the whole thing. I mean, it's very troubling.
Yeah, it's troubling. Yeah, that is something that I agree. Is that while studying, I mean, from 2013, so I did my master's. Then 2015, that's why I started doing energy economics and all. And then through my research, I didn't know that I got to know that Ghana, supplies neighboring countries. Then I looked at them and said, Charlie. Whilst we are here, but the point is all about policy and also priorities. It's about priorities because you can't export out, and the defense that they give is that they are also getting money. They're also getting money because
so that means sorry to cut you. That means the whole electrification strategy, there is no should I say elements of equity or fairness.
Yeah, the point now, let me put this up. Ghana also has one of the highest rates of electricity access so we'll treat that one next week, Unit 3. Highest rate of electricity access. I think 20 it was 86. Now I'm thinking it's in the 90s.
Yeah,
just
80% now. So
it was 86 in 2020, 86%.
So it's now 90.
No, it is 80, 83 right now currently.
Oh
no, we've increased.
No,
we've increased.
It's 90.
We've increased because the last time I checked it was 86%. That was 2021 or 2020 or 2020. I'm not quite sure really. The last time, but now I'm really sure that they've and the point is that they are when I check the Energy Commission, what they think that there are some places when you are going to put light or when you are extending access to there was a place that they mentioned in the Volta region that they need to. The topology was so that we require a lot of capital, and they look at the number of people staying in that area, cost benefit analysis and those things. So sometimes priority comes in, and they think that it is even cheaper sending it to the neighboring countries to get money than even sending it within Ghana here, and that one is pure politics. And as it sickens you, what is the comparative form of sickener or sickness? It's even my own is even today. Sometimes I bored because the indigenous don't have access, but people outside have access in there. So I get it, but we are improving, and I'm very sure that now there are some places that they are putting distributed energy systems. I know in the northern region there are some places it's purely solar that they are. Yes, Abraham. Somebody with the hand first. So,
Doc, looking at the region, West Africa, I think Ghana, when it comes to access, we are like the second or third. We are like second or third in terms of.
We are high. We are
yes,
high.
That's what. Yes, so
we are second only to Cape Verde.
Yeah, second to Cape Verde. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Which is a small island, a small place.
There's improvement.
Yes, there's improvement. That one there, I know. There's improvement. But her point, his point is, there's improvement. But his point is to the extent that why don't we think about do everything possible to make sure they have 100% before moving outside? And that is where I think his point is coming from. I don't know if I get it, but that is where, and to me sometimes, because why not? And that's why I was telling you, number one, there are several reasons, and I can't talk for them, but politics is one of the things. I know that there's a particular political is it political company? No, so political party. When it comes to power, you realize that energy access increases. Or one comes to power, you realize they stagnates. And it becomes some way. So
Doc,
politics plays a role. Number two, there are some topography in Ghana here. If you are sending or we are extending the national grid, it's quite expensive than extending it even outside. It will shock you that there are some people outside Togo. It's easier and cheaper to extend the light to that place than extending it within Ghana here. So that one part is, but that one is also not a justification because you can't capitalize on that and say that if not, they need to get. And that is why there are some companies, especially World Bank. The video that I showed you, the last video that I showed you, there's a community like that in the Volta region. They didn't have access to energy, and it took the World Bank to do a DES because they realized that bringing or extending it through transmission lines was very, very difficult. Was very, very difficult, and you need higher form of technology to even go there. So there are several factors. Of course, it's also not an issue. Yes, continue. Abraham, you were talking. Eric too. Yeah.
Yes, Doc. Let me continue. Now, so if you remember, around 2015, the politics in the energy sector was the then government bringing excess capacity into the system. That was the politics over there. Now, the question I was asking myself, so if this WAP wasn't there, and these people were complaining about excess capacity, that the WAP would be transferred to other regions, part of the regions, is it quite easily for we to store energy, or is it quite expensive to store energy if there was an excess capacity?
Hello?
Doc, are you there?
Hello?
Doc, are you there?
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I was having some breakages. I don't know. Yeah. He said,
so the question is it easy? Is it so easy to store energy when people are complaining about excess capacity? Or is it expensive to store? That is why we easily maybe transport or transfer into our neighboring regions.
Yeah, to store energy and not using it because you look at it, if you are storing it for what? It's not that easy, honestly. Okay, so why don't you sell it and get money? Are you getting it? But the point or the main problem is that we've not attached. Demographics of Ghana. We check the population. We increase almost every year. And the more the population is increasing, the demand for energy goes up. So we should have matched it with what? Our population increase. And the thing is that once we can do it, it's a matter of generating the power, selling it and getting money, and investing the money and also generating for our own people. So there's no brainer in this. It's not a hard thing. But the point is that whilst we are spending the money and getting the money, ECG is making losses. Look at the losses that they are not investing and also generating what into what so it's not matching. Availability becomes a problem at a particular point in time. I get it. So that's where the problem is. It's not so much of even selling it outside because we have the capacity to generate and sometimes even generate in excess, and we can get money from it. Okay. The main problem is that when we get the excess capacity and whatever, at the point in time our population increases, people are getting residential places are also what increasing. People are clearing land and building. Definitely, energy demand will go up. We should match it with it so that power is always available. But we are selling it and we are not investing the money into the system to generate more so that we can be at par. Then that's where the problem actually is. So it's not so much about the difficulty in storing it, but it's so much about we not calculating to make sure that we are what? having available, supply every time that the people need it. That is my take on that one, though. That's my take. Yeah, Hassan, Eric, Abraham, still hands up. So yes, I'm
Hello,
listening.
Doc. Eric here.
Yes.
Eric here.
Yeah,
Yes.
Eric.
Yeah. I just want to explain something on the power export.
Yes.
Basically, if you look at the export of power, most of these markets came to Ghana some time back to request for power. So companies in Ghana invested or built a plant purposely for the export market.
Okay.
You understand? So
Yeah.
basically, it's something that they've signed a contract with the export market
for
them.
yes.
So we cannot say that we are going to supply said power to the local communities because it was an agreement that the plant loans were taken purposely to build the plant for export. Like if you look at Burkina Faso, Togo, Benin, plants are there which are not for the local market. You understand? So that's why the export said power outside.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we
Eric,
can. Yes. So what I'm trying to say, and we have. So we can. At the end of the day, when you don't supply the power to them and you supply to you are going to pay whatever where they buy the power, you have to pay it to them because it's in the contract. So that's why we are setting plants in Ghana which are purposely for export. Then they are buying their own gas, they are buying their own gas from Nigeria, they are doing their purposely to generate power in Ghana to sell it outside. Because a business model they have adopted. But if we want local power, that's why the government normally comes in to build more power plant for the local consumption. That's why the government always comes in. This year, government is trying to build 1,200 combined cycle plant in the west, in the central region to support the expansion of the local market. To support them. But the export market is purely a business for certain companies that they have built,
that one is a business.
They have built a plant purposely for export. And they cannot, let's say, stop their export just to send power to the local market, which is also affect them paying their loans and also servicing other things. That's why you see that most of the time they export the power, but the locals complain. But it's more of their business arrangement they have with the export market.
Yeah, I know that. So maybe if you guys can educate me, because I know that there's that kind of arrangement there, and it's always on contractual basis. You can't just say we are not supplying the power and all those kind of stuff in there. But just recently, when the six plans went down at Greco, I heard the president say that he has told them to stop exporting the power so that we can augment whatever we are doing here. And after that, they should go. Something like that. I don't know if you heard it and if somebody can explain that one.
Yes. So this curtailment of power export. Yes, normally it's done so that at least they reduce the power export to those countries for a short while, because some of the sacrifices those companies do for Ghanaians, because government knows that definitely they have to serve the interests of Ghana. So they all tell the private companies or plant men for export to supply it to the local market. That's what they do, just to support for the short while. But that is something they do to support the system.
Yeah.
Because the plants are not for government, they are for private person. Like if you take VRS, certain plants are not, it's VRS own plants.
Yeah, certain ones are not. There are certain plants for government.
Yes. So, but I know
Isogly, for instance, is not for government. Yeah.
Even within VRA, some plants in VRA are not for government. VRA built plants which they have built it purposely for exports. So it's not a government plant within VRA. So they are plants which are not for government.
They also get money, Charlie. They get money. So they get money when they export. So Charlie, it's not an easy. The point is that we need to. Why we have the ability to generate more. So why don't we do it and send it to our people? Yeah. And it's all about privacy. That's what I'm saying. That yes, the population is increasing.
The challenge is that the generation challenges are different from the distribution challenges. So sometimes we have the capacity to generate more, but we do not have the capacity
but the
to
distribution
distribute
becomes a problem. Yes.
So that is even why there are some power that we export that we normally would not export. Yes, there are some companies that are purposely for export. But even those that are for Ghana, some of them sometimes are forced to export some of the power they generate because we signed a contract on take or pay basis. So once they generate, we need to pay. And we don't have the capacity to distribute it in Ghana. So we are forced to
and there are also
export.
transmission losses. Yeah, you raised a very important point. There are transmission losses, and some of them was because of outdated lines. And now that's why now they are changing some of the transformers, the ECGs, because some of them it was too updated, and then they had to do something about it. So not all the important point you raised that not all the problems when it comes to having access to energy is because of generation. There are transmission problems too. And there are even distribution problems too.
And also power theft. One of the key things is stealing of power, which is making yes. Because you go to certain areas, especially in the
illegal connection,
illegal connection. That's not allowing people to invest in the local market. They prefer the export because you don't get the revenues in the local power.
I learned that there was one place in, is it Tamale or whatever? All the meters that they took, it was not supplied by government knew nothing about it. I'm saying, hey, it's like a syndicate. People were the place I used to live, Mile 7. There was a house I was living in before moving to Tantrayo. The meter that I was using was, and the what do you call it? The landlord told me that it doesn't have a card, and if I want to buy, they call somebody, and that person. The point is that after building the house, he just went to ECG for them to get, and somebody told him that they should just get this meter, install it, then later they will come and replace it. And since like for 4 years, 5 years, no replacement. So anybody who lives in that particular room, if you need, if your light goes off and you need it, they have a MasterCard. I have to call that person to come and load it for me. So where was the money going to? You brought the issue of theft comes in, and that's where my mom went on that one, and I'm saying, hey, there's a whole lot of systems that people are running under ECG where the money is not going to the government. Okay, so
yes.
Yeah, it's an issue. Yeah, Jennifer.
Okay, so Doc, with the discussions ongoing, I think there is also an issue of maintenance, because we realize that people with the substations, some are still using the old pylons, whatever transmission systems which were there. And these communities or constituencies, we realize that there has been expansions in terms of people, households, and other things. And so if those who are supplying us this energy are doing maintenance work regularly, I think we are not going to face all these challenges, but rather they sit till there is an issue before they start doing something. We see from what happened in Akosombo, we realized that later on they started doing the maintenance works at substations. And with some on the news, I realized that there were even pythons in some of the transmissions located in Kumasi. Hey, so I think maintenance works should also be taken seriously.
And you know something, the pythons is not just one, there were two.
Yeah, it was serious. It was serious. So we need to take maintenance seriously. It really needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah, that one there is true. Yes, Eric.
Doc. Yeah. I just wanted to add a few. I was attempting to answer the earlier question, but I think my namesake has answered it perfectly. So I will shy away from that question. But a little that I want to add, just to clarify something that somebody said about storing of power or energy. The fact is that energy or power cannot be stored in large quantities. So power can only be stored in small quantities, just such as batteries and those kind of things. Power, electricity power, it is not possible as it is now to store power in large economic quantity. That is why you use it as it is produced. And that's how come the term take or pay. So once you produce, you use it. So for now, there's no technology that allows us to store power in large quantities. So it is, you use it and then you put. That is why you need to try to maximize its use to make sure that the demand is matching production, so that you don't overproduce what you don't need. And then just to clarify that point. Then to answer what our sister just said about maintenance, I wish she knew. You see, maintenance is something that is done so often in power distribution companies. We have various forms of maintenance, and it is very untrue to say that the network is not expanded. There's lots of projects always ongoing to extend power to new areas. But the point is, you need capital. All those projects are capital intensive. And sometimes the amount of capital you need to inject to be able to expand the network to a certain level, that money is not there. Then, quite apart from that, you see, customers are not doing too well. You see, when you subscribe to a new, you're applying for power supply, there's a form, a new service form, and you are supposed to state the items that you are going to use. You see, ordinarily, if you are adding on to your demand, all things being equal, you have to come back to the utility to notify them that I'm adding on, so that appropriate plans can be made for you. Else, if you go to other jurisdictions, you can't add on power, or you can't just decide to go and buy 10 air conditions to your house without prior notice to the utility provider. So it makes planning a bit very difficult, because getting accurate data to plan is very difficult. So me, I've been in that section for quite some time, and I know what goes into it. There's a lot of planning, there's a lot of projects ongoing, there's a lot of maintenance going, but only sometimes the level of data to do accurate work is not there because of the way we behave and the way we do our things in this nation. So just to answer that question, thank you.
Also, what I would like to add is that, yes, our construct and the way it's very difficult. People will not report that they've added maybe a fridge or air conditioning to their, portfolio or whatever being the case. But a projection or prediction has to be made, because I know for a fact, and this one is pure theory, whilst I was reviewing and doing research way back in 2015, that there's always an increase. Every census that we have, at first we were 25 million, moved to 28 million, moved to 30 million, then 33 million. That kind. So you can use that one as a projection and try as much as possible to predict the energy consumption of it. And I've seen people in the engineering sector doing those kind of predictions. Of course, it might not be the same, accurate, but at least you can get a range. So just to add to your point, yes, it's a difficult thing, but Charlie, people are also being paid to be doing that. And if they have not been paid to be doing that, there's no units for predicting those things, then there should be a unit for knowing that, yes, as time goes on, our consumption is going to increase and it's going to be like that. So yes, a lot of maintenance are going on, but a lot of people, when the light goes off, they don't care about the maintenance you are doing. All that they know is that the light's off and they have to get light. I get it. So, and I like now the kind of thing. And now the power is okay. To be honest, had it not been the last few weeks that we had some issues, my area, we hardly were we experiencing light off. So for me, it was okay until the power outages came because of the seas plants that went down in that place. So there's an improvement. I know that as the way they've started and the way they are going, capital is being injected. There's a cash waterfall, which has been, now those who are producing, they are getting the money. At a point in time, the producers will produce, but they don't get the money back. Yeah. So that was also a problem. But now I think they've put measures in place. Money is flowing and the needful is being done. So with time, I think we'll be okay. We are not lacking the ability to maintain things. Just that for me, the way I think is more like priority and politics is taking place in some of these things here. I don't know. Charlie, let's continue next weekend. I'm tired.
All right, Doc. Thank you very much.
All right, yeah, okay. So we'll continue next week with Unit
Thank
3.
you, Doc.
And please, the lecture, the LMS is open. Look at it, download, and the questions there. Please go through. And thank you very much. I've really learned from you guys too today. I've really learned. Yeah. So see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.